What still creeps the fuck out of you? Had a guy come through my bathroom window when I was showering. I'm a fully grown man. I thought it was one of my brothers or friends fucking with me because we were going fishing shortly. I thought one of them showed up early, so I opened a shower curtain to see some drugged out dude grunting and making like zombie type noises flop onto my floor, butt-ass naked. Ran out, held the door shut, and had my girlfriend call the cops. Dude was in the shower when the cops arrived. So now it's hard for me to have the windows open. People suck. There's a guy I work with who creeps me the fuck out. He's overly nice, creepily nice, constantly pouring compliments on you. He gets too close. He likes to sneak up on you and give you a shoulder rub while whispering compliments in your ear. He also has this obviously fake laugh. It's hard to describe, but I call it his "I think I'm supposed to laugh now" laugh. So he'll laugh at inappropriate times because he thinks that's what the situation calls for. He also lies a lot. I've caught him out a few times. It's really hard to explain. It's like watching a lizard in human suit figure out what to do or say, and he often gets it wrong because he's misread the situation. I've made it clear to him and our boss that if he comes near me or my family, I will smash his head through the nearest wall. As a result, he now stays away from me because I see right through him. I'm convinced he is some sort of psychopath or sociopath. I'm not smart enough to know which, but I do know I've seen enough to not want him near me because he creeps me out so much. I find it creepy how we subconsciously are our own worst enemies. Someone's looking at me, well, they must be thinking the worst about me. I made a mistake, well, let me think about it repeatedly for the rest of my life to relive my shame. I'm sleep deprived, well, now I'm seeing stuff in my peripherals, or I'm hearing something, is my house haunted, etc. Just the amount of damage we can do to ourselves just by not maintaining ourselves. It's amazing how easy it is for the body to just start shutting down, causing issues. When I was in college, I was drugged with some pretty gnarly stuff. Was just smoking weed that was knowingly laced with some strong amphetamine. Those guys are arrested. Now I barely smoke weed. Better yet, hard stuff, and my body didn't know what to do. I called the cops on myself and ended up slipping into a coma for 3 days. Here's the fucked up part. I vividly remember being in a hell-like situation. Myself falling through a black hole with thousands of hands grabbing at me and trying to pull me down. Absolute sheer terror. Ever since then, years later, I still have those same nightmares and have a hard time falling asleep. That one totally normally looking old woman who stopped me on the street around 6 a.m. asking about something. I had my earphones on so I couldn't hear her. When I took them off, she said something like, "What the hell are you wearing? Look at yourself, bitch." I was totally in shock, so I ignored her and just went past her, but she kept following me. I stopped on the red light to pass the crossing. She stopped next to me, pointed at a totally empty street and said, "Mark beat the shit out of her." Luckily, my tram arrived right after, so I just got inside and left her there. I saw her maybe 3 times after that encounter. Every time when I see someone remotely similar to her, I'm just turning around and going the other way. Anything to do with eyes. When I was a kid, I had a metal splinter stuck in my eye. Everyone thought it was a pink eye until it wouldn't go away after a couple of antibiotic drops. So the ophthalmologist looks and is like, "You have a tiny metal splinter in the eye." Because it's the eye, you have to watch the procedure. Dude comes at me as a kid with this long needle-looking device, probably a tweezer of some sort, and is like, "You can't move and you can't blink." I'm in the chair bawling because I was a scared kid and he's trying to do his thing. Scared me for life. I cannot stand things that happen with eyes. My grandparents lived on top of a mountain. Behind the house was a downhill patch of grass, maybe an acre, so you could stand on their big back patio and enjoy the view of living in the woods. My brother and I learned that we could sound like really pissed off razorback pigs. We decided that was a smart idea and began doing that down in the dark valley with the porch lights off. I heard the sticks and leaves in the woods snapping loudly, and we both ran inside as fast as we could, slamming the door shut, locking it, and pulling the curtains closed. Both our hearts were pounding. We could feel whatever was in the woods was right on the other side of that door. Later that night, I walked down the hallway to the bathroom at the end of the house, looked to my right in the bedroom, and saw the most menacing, red eyes staring deep into my soul on the other side of the window. They were locked on me. Every move I made, they followed. I was frozen in place. The second the eyes blinked, I bolted into the living room, screaming and crying about how we'd stirred up a monster that was following me. In the South, such a thing is taken seriously, especially on a hill in the woods. Shotguns were grabbed and the hill was checked. Nothing was found. To this day, I get chills thinking about what that was and what would have happened if we were curious and stayed out there. I can't look at a photo or watch a video of people standing near ledges, cliffs, buildings, etc. without starting to panic, increased heart rate, and feeling numb all over. It's only been happening the last couple of years though. Sometimes while trying to sleep, I'll have a random vision of falling and have a panic attack and not get any sleep for a while. So weird. Even thinking about it now is making me numb. I'm not a believer in ghosts, but one thing I'll never forget is a band trip we took to play for UK college, and we stayed in a hotel in Lexington. We were split up into groups of 4 per room, which was weird enough. Anyhow, we're all up at 2 in the morning. We were in a room where the wall behind our beds had nothing on the other side, as in it didn't share the wall with another room. We ended up accidentally knocking on this wall, like a hand slapped it on accident, and a few seconds later, a knock came from the other side. We waited, and then did an international knock 3 times only for it to be repeated right back to us. We went to bed and didn't talk about it until the next morning. Maybe there was a logical explanation for it, I don't know. But the other side of that wall was outside, and on the 2nd floor, so it was a bit creepy. The ice cream truck. It surprised even me when I got so creeped out by it the first time I encountered one. I grew up in a very rural area where the ice cream truck was just something I'd seen on TV, and I always thought it would be so cool to have an ice cream truck in my neighborhood. Flash forward to me in my 30s, living far away from my rural hometown. I'm walking from my car to my apartment, and I hear jingle bells playing really slowly and loudly. I turn to see the ice cream truck creeping past, and had to fight the urge to run away. I'm someone who loves all things horror, so my reaction surprised me. The slow-moving truck, filled with treats to lure people in, the Christmas music playing in the middle of summer, it all felt wrong. I decided to stick to the grocery store and Dairy Queen for my ice cream fix. Bed bugs. I can deal with spiders, mosquitoes, fleas, ticks, and any other creepy crawly. Even having to remove an old animal carcass overflowing with disco rice never fazed me. Last year though, someone brought some bedbug hitchhikers to where I was living. They smell, leave stains all over everything, and they fucking hurt. Their bites will wake you out of a deep sleep, and the itch is so intense, good luck getting back to sleep. Exterminator cost almost $3,000, and the dude had to treat like 10 times over like 5 months before they finally all died off. It was an absolute nightmare, and even now, anytime I feel an itch or something touching me, I freak and do a search. So yeah, those little fuckers still creep me out. A radio phone-in show I heard many years ago. They were discussing past lives and reincarnation. A lady phoned in and told the story about her first marriage, which ended after they had a stillbirth. She moved away, remarried, and after a few years had a healthy baby, a little girl. When the little girl was about 4, they visited the mom's original hometown for the first time. When driving past the church, the little girl got very excited and insisted her mother stop the car. When they pulled over, the little girl said, "Mommy, this is where you put me in the ground the first time I was here." The way the mom told it made a shiver run down my spine. A couple weeks ago, I was spending the night at my sister's house in July so we could watch the Olympic opening ceremony together. Around 1 a.m., when I was getting ready to go to bed, my niece came into the kitchen for a snack and started talking to me. I was sleeping in the den, which is right next to the kitchen. I turned the light off when she finally left and had just changed into my PJs. I was standing in front of the couch trying to refocus myself like, okay, what was I doing? Oh, I need to plug in my phone. And just after I whispered that out loud, I heard, "What?" in a loud whisper that kind of echoed. I turned around because it sounded like it was behind me. That's how clear it was. There was nothing there. Then I heard it again. "What did you say?" in the same loud whisper that still echoed. I grabbed my phone off the charger and turned the light on and ran into the far end of the kitchen. First, I'm not sure if I believe in the paranormal, but I've experienced some logically unexplainable stuff this year, and sometimes I do get really bad sleep paralysis, but I was completely awake and fully aware of my surroundings when this happened. My sister does practice witchcraft, tarot, etc., so there's no question that the house may have something attached to it, but she also cleanses it weekly. There was just no logical explanation for how clear I heard it, and I'll never forget it. It still creeps me out 3 months later. Almost a year ago, I was fresh off watching some Michael Jackson is Still Alive conspiracy videos at around 1 a.m. at night. Don't ask me why, lol. I put down my phone a few minutes later and tried to go to sleep. An hour passed by and I still wasn't able to sleep. So I got up and went to the kitchen to get some water, and as I'm drinking, my eyes look towards the drawing room door. It's open, in my house where the lights are turned off. There, I saw this white silhouette of MJ with red eyes looking at me, and as soon as we locked eyes, it moonwalked out of my sight, deeper into the dark room away from the door. I know it's because I was sleep deprived, and it was just my brain, but man, that felt too real to me. Even thinking about it gives me chills. I know it sounds hilarious, but trust me, I almost had cardiac arrest after witnessing that. When I was 5, my mom owned a baby monkey toy. She kept it in the spare bedroom, the room next to me, on a chair facing me with the creepy dim light on because I didn't have a nightlight, and that worked as my nightlight. Now, whenever I visit, I scare the bejesus at the thing because it's old and brings back bad memories from when I was young. Friend's house is recently haunted. She lives with her teenage daughter. They're both very freaked out. She comes home to find her shoes pulled off the rack. Dog can't reach them, so dog couldn't do it. Dog barking into the closet or into a corner of the bedroom, or won't go into the house but barks into the house from the doorway. This is extremely not normal behavior for this dog she's had for 10 years. Lights in off position turn on and off on their own right there when you're in the room. She's came home and found computer power cables unplugged and neatly arranged on the floor. She's been living in her house for 7 years, and this started happening in the last 6 months or so. She has outside security cameras. Nobody is breaking into her house. Only thing it coincides with is the death of a neighbor. She's going to install cameras in her bedroom and point them at the closet where most of this creepy stuff is happening. She's actually asked to the closet, "What do you want here? Why are you here?" I honestly get shivery creeps just writing about it. That I didn't get any kind of creep vibe from someone who was just arrested for 30 counts of sexual assault of a child or children under the age of 14. The guy is the proverbial pillar of the community. I would never, ever have guessed it. An outer image that many people won't see through is the perfect cover for a child sex abuser. I didn't see through it. I wish that I would have seen through it. I wish everyone had seen through it. It looks as if police and prosecutors have a definite and powerful case against him. Locals are so uncomfortable with this revelation, although at least they are believing it. Classic case of someone who builds a great image on the outside while rotten to the core on the inside. I can't imagine what the kids are going through. That I saw a UFO in the afternoon in a clear sky while walking my dog. It was not aircraft, nor was it a helicopter. It stayed static for a good few seconds and suddenly camouflaged and disappeared. There was no sound, no track of it, and no lights. Before disappearing away, it was shining, which was a reflection from the sun on it. The scary part was I did not even notice it. It was my dog who all of a sudden just stopped and didn't move or bark, which spooked me. In the beginning, I thought he saw a ghost or something, but when I looked up, I saw it. It was like as if my dog was telling me something or someone is looking at us. Afterwards, I tried to tell people, but was just ignored. Few people asked me why I didn't take pictures or video. This was only for a few seconds, and when you see something so unreal that you can't explain or make sense of it, believe me, you will not remember to take pictures or video. My only explanation is that either it's the government testing new technology, or we are indeed not alone. The second theory is both terrifying and exciting at the same time. This all happened in November-December of 2020, when I worked at a small-town corner store. I worked with a guy I'll call Tom. Tom was always on time and super OCD about everything. He had Asperger's, wouldn't touch things without gloves or hand sanitizer, etc., etc. Anyways, one night, I was scheduled to close with Tom and asked our manager what car he drove so I could look out for it and use the restroom once he got there. She replied, a white minivan covered in Christian-related bumper stickers. Huh, interesting. Didn't expect that out of Tom. Regardless, he shows up. Sure enough, in a white minivan. I remember looking at the back of his car on my way home and yep, bumper stickers. Fast forward a week, my siblings caught COVID and it required me to be quarantined for a month. I come back into work again, closing with Tom. I wait hours for his white minivan to show up and I never see it. I finally see Tom step out of a shiny white SUV, very neat and polished, much more his speed. He comes in and I say, "Oh, Tom, you got a new car? Congratulations." "What? That car's not new. I've had it since 2018. What happened to your minivan then?" "The white one? I traded it in 2018. Still sends shivers down my spine. I have no idea how I somehow imagined him having the exact car he owned before I even knew him. The fact that Kitsault, BC is an abandoned city that has been, for seemingly no reason at all, being kept up by a rich man. He took photos of the area before doing so. Some are on Google Images, where the place looks like only personal possessions were taken. Things like school books, machinery, stoves, office couches and desks are still there. Kitsault was abandoned after going bankrupt when molybdenum prices plummeted, yet they didn't take stuff to try and get that money back or avoid needing to rebuy those items. Not only that, but the pools were clearly not drained. I can't help but feel like something chased them out. Tree houses. By now, this was about 2 years ago. I was helping a few of my friends from around me sell lemonade. We only got like $8. By the time it was 4 to 5 p.m., we stopped selling and were just hanging out in one of the kids' tree houses. Only thing about this tree house is that it was very old and hand-built. Seems like a weird detail, but I'm also kind of on the larger side, but that didn't stop me from going in the treehouse with like 5 other kids. The treehouse had 2 levels with a small ladder connecting them. One side was about 10 feet and the other was about 8. Me, being the stupid kid I was, decided that to get onto the lower level, I would just slide down on my butt from the top level. When I slid down on my ass, the entire floor of the treehouse crumbles and breaks. I smashed down into the 4x4 wooden support beam cage thingy with my left leg snapped in half and bending sideways. Nothing will ever haunt me like the feeling of an EMT worker straightening the bones in my legs. Had a 3-day stay in the hospital and underwent a surgery on my leg to have a metal rod and screws installed on my tibia. Went through months of physical therapy and now lots of movement, heavy impacts, jumping, Harvey running, etc. is permanently restricted due to my injury. Got a sweet-ass scar out of it though, so I'm not too mad. One day, at our grandma's house down in the northern neck next to a lake, I was trying to go to bed one night but couldn't, so I got up and walked into the kitchen and looked out the window at the lake, and I saw the most scary thing in the world. Something was watching me. I saw it looking at me from the middle of the path down to the lake. It got up and ran away on all 4s, and I never saw it again. But something kept me up thinking. When it was looking at me, it was standing up on only 2 feet and stood around 8 feet tall. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it still scares me to this day. It still creeps the fuck out of me when an amazing artist, writer, musician, filmmaker, or whatever other kind, or a collaborative group of artists that has a history of consistently producing brilliant works in the past starts creating uninspired, strictly commercial pablum. Like, what happened? Did they lose their ability to tell the difference? Did they lose all their inspiration? Did they just stop caring? Were they so pressured by practical needs that they had to abandon their vision and sacrifice their integrity? And if it could happen to them, could it happen to anybody if the price is right? Someone's face in my window. I was 13 at my grandparents' beach house, and I remember going to sleep after my parents because I was playing The Sims on the PS2. My bed was by the door, and my parents beneath the window on the bedroom. When I lay down to sleep, I looked toward my parents and thought I saw a face in the window and got scared. I couldn't sleep, so I just tried to lay in bed quietly with my eyes closed, trying to sleep. After some time, I felt something bump against my bed and opened my eyes. I opened them and couldn't see anything, like there were no more lights anywhere in the house. I was scared and started asking, "Who's there?" and tried to light up around me with the light of my Timex watch. I remember my voice getting tighter and tighter as panic took over me like a blanket. I couldn't see and was scared until my dad wakes up mad at me because he was feeling a breeze and yell at me that I left the door open. I answer him that I didn't. He stands up and tries the light switch near the bed and it didn't work. He stands up and goes to see what happened. All the doors to the backyard were open, and his pants and my mom's beach bag are thrown all over the backyard. We discover later that someone squeezed through a window by the back entrance, got into the food storage closet, flipped the breakers, and got the spare keys to the bedroom and back door, and entered our bedroom intent on getting my father's wallet from his pants. Me waking up scared, the thief, and he flied taking the keys with him. Many years later, we discover that the gardener's son got arrested for mining his dad for information on his clients' houses to break into them. My very calm and obedient dog started growling and aggressively snarling at me when I was standing in my bathroom doorway. It looked like he was looking at my belly level, so I watched him as I sidestepped around and into my bedroom, and he kept staring at that one spot in the bathroom doorway, still growing, like he was going to kill something. It went on for a few more seconds before he barked and stepped forward, and something knocked a bunch of stuff off my kitchen sink. Every time he growls at something, I get goosebumps.